10 celebrities blacklisted from Hollywood. Hollywood is not an easy place to roam. Just ask these stars. They all seem to have really promising careers at one time. However, they all ended up on the Hollywood blacklist for a variety of reasons. Some of them certainly deserved it, but not all of them. Sometimes, the big wigs in the industry like to hound the little ones because they can. Most celebrities do not understand what happened to their careers, but we think we have a clue as to what went wrong. In this video, we're going to tell you about the top 10 celebrities that are blacklisted from Hollywood. Just before we start, subscribe to the channel and turn your notifications on to never miss any videos from our channel. Number 10. Charlie Chaplin. The origin of Hollywood's blacklist is very dark. It began as a result of McCarthyism, Republican Senator Joseph McCarthy's efforts to expel communist spies from the United States in the 1940s and 50s. During this time, a team called the House Un-American Activities Committee held a hearing in which they accused hundreds of citizens of joining the Communist Party. This led to the banning of several suspected groups, as movie studios would have lost a lot of money if their movies featured suspected communists or communist supporters. One such suspect was one of the greatest actors of the silent film era, Charlie Chaplin. Chaplin's refusal to answer questions about his political views led the FBI to call him Bolshevik and a potential security threat. His films were met with hatred and hostility. After the London screening of his film Limelight, he was told he would be barred from re-entering the US Chaplin, and he spent the rest of his life in Switzerland. For the next decade, his films continued to meet with widespread protest in the US. When the political climate finally changed, he once again became a favorite movie icon. Number 9. Mel Gibson. After his arrest in 2006, in which he uttered anti-Semitic remarks against police officers arresting him, Mel Gibson has been a character non grata in Hollywood. Between 2006 and 2010, he had only one role in the film Edge of Darkness. Then in 2010, when he was caught on tape launching on a racist rant and making threats of murders against his ex, Oksana Grigorieva, any chance of comeback to the industry was diminished as the talent company William Morris Endeavor Entertainment, which represented him, dismissed him as a client. It was only a few years ago that Hollywood began to forgive him. His movie, Hacksaw Ridge, has received rave reviews, as well as 6 Academy Award nominations, including one for Best Director for Gibson. Number 8. Shia Labeouf. You could only argue that Shia LaBeouf's breakout moment was the time he was chosen to play Sam Witwicky in the 2007 Michael Bay film Transformers. In fact, from here, LaBeouf went on to do other projects, including one with Hollywood star Brad Pitt. However, the character also began to show strange behavior. Shia LaBeouf still gets cast in films, but mostly indie films. He has played in movies such as Fury, Lawless, American Honey, and The Peanut Butter Falcon. All those movies were excellent, and he had great performances in them. However, Shia had several instances of getting into fights during filming, calling a movie out while it was still showing in theaters, and episodic breakdowns. That's why he doesn't get cast in mainstream movies now. Number 7. Orson Welles. The director of Citizen Kane was reportedly put on the watch list by the FBI for being a national threat, and it was suggested that his phone should be tapped. Welles moved to Europe for several years in 1947, at the same time when the Hollywood blacklist was being drafted. It isn't clear whether he was involved or not, but it was suggested that this was not just a coincidence. Citizen Kane, with its obvious similarities to the life of right-wing journalist William Randolph Hearst, was read as an attack on conversation powers in America. Number 6. Tobey Maguire. There are 4 main reasons why we haven't seen Tobey Maguire since he starred as Spider-Man. First, the studio had to remove him because he was too old for the role. He was pushing 35. Secondly, in 2011, Tobey was linked to a poker club in which the organizer told the media that he was the worst tipper, the best player, and the absolute worst loser. Talk about bad publicity. Third, Tobey was getting on in years and wanted to play mature roles, but he could not take away his natural boyish looks. However, he could no longer be cast to play a 20-year-old. Lastly, he has since become a father of 2 children with his recently divorced wife Jennifer Meyer, so he has his hands full. Number 5. Rose McGowan. Rose McGowan was one of the charmed stars. She was young, talented, and it was reasonable to expect that her career would only go up. But in the late 90s, it suddenly stopped. Now, McGowan has said a lot of contradictory things about her work, but none of this has led to her being included in the blacklist. What ultimately stopped her career for almost 2 decades is even worse. In 1997, she was raped by Harvey Weinstein. He gave her $100,000 to keep quiet about the incident, which she did for the general public, but nonetheless, she talked about it to insiders. This led to Weinstein putting her on the blacklist, and his weight in the industry meant to blacklisting continued. The silver lining in this great storm cloud that McGowan's testimony was an early voice in the Me Too movement, which removed many industry figures who had committed sexual misconduct and abuse of power, including Weinstein. It's a shame it took 20 years and more than 100 other accusers for her to be trusted. Number 4. Sondra Locke. After Clint Eastwood dumped Sondra Locke back in 1989, she found herself on the blacklist by all major Hollywood studios. This went on for 10 years. Before splitting up, she had a lot of work to do in Hollywood. She had an Oscar nomination under her belt, starring in 6 of his films, and being a budding director. Her breakup with a famous actor and director was messy. She came home one day to find that he had changed the locks on their shared home and put her belongings in storage. In response, she filed a complaint. In 1990, they reached an agreement. Eastwood offered her a development or directing contract at Warner Brothers in exchange for her dropping the case. 5 years later, they returned to court. She claimed that Eastwood had compensated Warner Brothers for refusing to do all the 30 projects that she had proposed, so they didn't give her any of their in-house projects. When he saw that the jury would side with Locke, he settled with her for an undisclosed amount. It sent a message to Hollywood that powerful people could not abuse their power. Number 3. Martin Lawrence. Martin Lawrence is problematic in many ways. However, it was when he interrupted the SNL to preach on women's hygiene that he was banned from the show permanently. He can still be found making occasional homophobic comments here and there. Number 2. Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay Lohan did very well as a child star who played a major role in many Disney films. As she grew up and became a young actor, however, Lohan became very controversial. First, she had trouble with the law many times. In addition, she also became very unprofessional towards her job. Morgan Creek Productions chief executive James G. Robinson even criticized the actress for acting like a spoiled child on the Georgia Rule set. Number 1. Justin Bieber. Actors and actresses are like us. They get tired of working, and sometimes they may find it hard to get a job. Still, it is a real shame that one of your favorite celebrities will not appear on the screen. Justin Bieber began his career in music. Shortly after gaining many songs in the top 40 lists, he moved on to acting. Unfortunately, his unreliable personality disqualified him from taking on more roles. That's all for this video. We hope you liked the video. If yes, then don't forget to like the video and also comment down below your thoughts. See you all in another Hollywood-related video. Till then, bye!